I've been to 13 of them. I help organize. I'm one of the volunteers for 351 startups. So they were actually the speaker who couldn't make it tonight. I was hoping that they could tell you guys a little bit about what they do. Startup Weekend is just one of the things that community does. They do a lot for Lisbon. So if you're a founder in Lisbon, you should definitely check out 351 Startups. Yeah, I was in Coimbra and Albufeira and at the one in Lisbon for Youssef, and I can highly vouch for that. It was very inspirational in terms of what I'm doing. So as Youssef mentioned, let me just get my own slides up here. So yeah, so I'm gonna close this out tonight. Yeah, in 2 hours I turned 50, you guys. It's pretty crazy. Like, this is a photo, by the way, I took at my folks' cabin. I don't know if you've ever just like captured the perfect moment, but like this was one of those moments. I was on a run, and I just was like, "Is this real?" Like, look at that photo. But I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my path. I figure like turning 50, whatever, it's kind of arbitrary. It's just another day. I kind of feel like it's like an odometer when it clicks over that last little number, and you're like, "Oh, now it's 50." So in a lot of ways, it's just another day. But at the same time, it's kind of also an excuse to like stop and reflect and just introspect and think about like who you are and all that. And so I've had multiple people say like, I know you, but I don't know what you do. And so I want to just maybe give some insight into like my own path and my trajectory, and yeah, and so we'll go from there. So this is something I think is like, when I think about it, I try to think back to like pivotal moments. I don't know if you guys think in terms of like these crossroad moments. I think about this a lot in terms of like, just those moments that you know nothing is going to be the same after that. Little aside, I have some good friends in the room here. 3. My buddy Matt just flew in today. My friend Ben, who just moved here about a month ago, is now living in Lisbon. And then one of my best friends in the world, Benny, flew in from LA to be here. I've known him for 30 years. And so these crossroad moments, like meeting him was one of them, meeting like each one of these guys was one of them. I tried to chase it back to the first one. I think this was it. But this was a book when I was about 2 or 3. Weirdly remember like reading this book with my parents. And apparently we did this trip to Santa Fe. I don't remember the trip. I remember the times that we would read the book after the trip. And I don't have kids, but I just thought like, at a time when kids are reading stories, like storybooks, and their books are about other people, they're about heroes and stories and princes and things like that. To get a book where you are in the book and you're the hero of the story is really crazy for a child. I feel like it kind of like alters your view of the world at a very early age, thinking like, oh, I can be in books, or oh, I can, like, that music that people are listening to, I can actually make that myself. And so this was like, I think, one of those fundamental moments. And so, like, if you had asked me at this point, like, writing a story, what is Sean's story going to look like? Like, obviously, 3, I didn't have a brain fully formed at that point, but if you would have told me, like, you're going to be someday standing on top of a 20,000-foot volcano, and then shortly thereafter you're going to fall off of it, but you're going to live. I'd be like, okay, yeah, right, that's crazy. But don't worry, because like a week later, you're going to be flying with seagulls for hours, and they're going to show you where the lift is, and you're going to be doing this thing that allows you to fly for hours at a time like a bird. I'd be like, okay, that sounds insane. Or you're going to be like skimming over the water, like a skipping stone, powered by nothing but the wind. These are just like things that I couldn't have fathomed. You're going to go to like the cradle of civilization and see like insanely ancient buildings and where they came from, and you're going to ride camels in the Sahara and eat crazy food and live in a thatched hut for a month, and you're going to like see pyramids and climb pyramids and then fly over pyramids and then just like sit there and look at a pyramid and be like, how the heck did this thing get here? Like, this is so insane. I would have said, like, no way. And you meet this group and you go around the world and you swim with sharks and climb waterfalls and rappel off of them and see like a side of the world that thinks totally differently than you do. And then like play shows for people and see sunset after amazing sunset. And then like this pandemic is gonna hit and like turn the world upside down, but it's all right because you're gonna be on the other side of it, where it's like reacting completely differently to it. and just see how like the world operates in a place that you've never been. And then when your photo map looks like this and it's like speckled and you've been to all these places, you're gonna move somewhere by yourself and learn the language and settle down and make that your home of all places, and meet friends from around the world and like sling electrons and sell $1 million worth of software that's just literally bits and not real. I'd be like, what? This sounds like some kind of Forrest Gump kind of story. But like here we are, and all that stuff happened, and it's not even over. I feel like maybe I'm at the halfway point, hopefully. But yeah, community has always been important to me, and like I thought, like obviously I got to organize this one, so I not by chance coincided it with this day. But I thought, like, what better way to like say goodbye to my 40s than just like talking about the thing that I love doing. These are all groups that I've had a part in either starting or building or helping run. And I thought I'd just tell you about the last couple, because I'm on this weird path where I was fortunate to be able to like do what I want to do now. And I feel like I've busted ass for like a long career, and now it's like now the real work begins. Like what's the biggest thing you can do at this point? And so like this slide is interesting. This is like all the stuff I've been involved with. And like literally that first one was where I met Benny on day one. I'll just give you a little insight into this like crossroads moment. So I show up, I really was fascinated by the internet. This was at a point where I like discovered email and I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna change the game. So I applied to this classified ad that was in the Arizona Public newspaper. I show up in this little interview room and Benny's there. He's like 18 and I'm 20, and he's written like the modem software for the Mac of the first ISP in Phoenix. And he's just like grilling me. He's like, what do you know how to do? You know, Shockwave, Flash, director note, HTML note, da da da. And I'm like, no. And he's like, what do you know how to do? And like, I can type pretty fast, and like, my English is pretty good. And he's like, all right, yeah, we kind of need that. we kind of need that. So yeah, you can start. And that was my inroads into this crazy thing that led me down being a computer programmer, and then a 3D animator, and technology consultant, and hotel websites, and commerce applications, and then everything below the line. These are all companies that I started, a party bus and a consulting, and this jump box thing. We like kind of came up with a whole new way to distribute software. Short Salepedia, like the crazy real estate crash of 2008. My home actually was facing foreclosure. A friend told me about short sales, and then once we did it, I was like, oh my gosh, we gotta help other people do this. And so that like one like total shitty experience turns into this whole other little side career. Like just every one of these has just been such a weird like job down, and the whole time I don't know what I'm doing. Like I feel like it just always kind of works out. You kind of muddle through it and figure it out. But I thought like in terms of how I could convey value to you guys, and like some repeatable lesson, and I really tried to introspect and think like what were the 8 most like formative books that I read over that period. And I'll throw these slides in the Telegram, so you don't have to write this down if you want them. But if I had to, I'd say these 8 books are worth reading. Each one of them, that would be a whole different talk, but these are really powerful books for anyone who's interested. This one in particular, I went through this program called Start With Why. Does anyone know Simon Sinek? Mm-hmm. Seen him? I think the book is not actually that great, to be honest. But I think I did his computer thing. Like he had like an online course where it was led by these 2 guys on video, and they take you through the process. I found that hugely valuable, and out of that process emerged this statement, which I'll just read it. My why statement is to help others beat gravity so they can be free to do what they're born to do. And it feels right. Like I think this is what I'm here to do. So everything like kind of, I feel like getting clarity on that, like everyone has a different one of these. His premise is that like basically getting in touch with your why is like the best thing you can do, because once you know that deeply, then things just kind of start to fall into place and emerge. And until you know that, you will fumble around, kind of occasionally stumbling into the thing. But once you know that, it's just like it kind of galvanizes you in the right direction. And if there's interest, we can go through that someday for those folks who want to do the exercise. I've helped like 5 or 6 friends go through that process. But yeah, so I'll just quickly tell you, just with the 2 or 3 minutes, just the groups that I run and kind of like where they're headed and what's next. So this charity makeover My friend Ben was there in Bali. This was something that actually started back in 2014 as a hobby. It was 3 of us in a room. We asked the question like, what could we do for this this nonprofit? Like, if we just spent a weekend, like, what is the most thing that, like, what could change the game for them that we know how to do? And so we tinkered with this concept, and we did a number of events. We did it for various charities. This is in Argentina. We did it for Monkey Sanctuary. This is here in Lisbon, where we built the website actually for Lisbon Project. Did it in Barcelona for a couple charities. And then the last one we did was in Bali. And that was March 14th, 2020. That was right before COVID happened. And so this was an event-based thing, and that was the last time we could do events, basically. The world shut down after that. And so we really had to think about, like, how do we keep, there's something here, we kind of got it, but we can't do events anymore. How do we need to, like, evolve this so it can keep going? And we came up with this. It was this idea, like, I went back to the drawing board in a lot of ways, but I took the pieces that worked, and I said, like, what if we like take charities out of there as the middleman? Could we work on the problems directly? Like, how could we get all the world's problems and fixers under the same roof? And if you can get those in there and match them up and, like, put people on the right teams, that would be really interesting. And so we did a number of events here in Lisbon. We partnered up with 42 and Casa do Impacto, and we did just a bunch of these events to work on different problems. And we're talking about stuff like, I don't know if you guys have heard the term wicked problems. It's the label they give to, like, particularly gnarly, intractable, kind of hard to solve things. And so we tried to tackle, we basically build projects that would mitigate those problems, things like human trafficking and, like, gnarly stuff. But then there was also this kind of appetite for, like, could we take that process and then, like, what the learning was like, not everyone has the luxury to work on that type of stuff. It's like, wouldn't it be great though if we could take that same format and build commercial ventures in that same way? So we started experimenting with this concept called Open Startup. He actually here at Tribe, that's in the back room. And this is an evolving experiment. We don't know where it's gonna go, but, like, I have this unshakable vision that, like, if we can jailbreak people from the rat race and, like, get people to financial freedom, build these revenue generating products that just kind of run, then we can actually go back and start working on the impact stuff. But we kind of need to get to the level where, like, people don't need to worry so much about money. And so that's kind of the goal of this one. The last one, No Code Lisboa, is something I do this monthly here. It's like a free thing, and I just, Benny and I are both deep into the AI, like, gen tools, like to build what they call now vibe coding. But you can build a lot of incredible stuff. You can also build stuff that invokes AI to do amazing things. So how many people joined the Lightning Talks Club, made a profile on that? Because I saw that there's been a number this week. So it actually uses the stuff that I wrote to connect people, and it will take a very specific set of questions when people fill out, like, this is what I'm into, this is what I'm having trouble with, this is what I like, blah, blah, blah. And it will actually, like, go out and find people in the community. It will ask questions of that vector store database. It'll say, like, given what we know about all the people in the community and everything that this person wants, who is the right people to connect them with to help them, and who can they help? And so it does all that. And yeah, and then I turned it into a protocol. So, like, 351 Startups is now using this with their group. We've talked about potentially using it with Indra's group. But this quote, I'll just end with this. Like, this is something I put on our t-shirts at the Bali event. Pursue something so important that even if you fail, the world is better off with you having tried. It's by Tim O'Reilly, one of my favorite people. And I really believe it's like, even if you fail at it, like, I don't know that this is gonna work, it's one giant experiment, like I said, but it's like, we've definitely changed the game in a lot of ways. There's a lot of little, we get ripples of people who have said, like, yeah, that was, the safe house in Bali that wouldn't exist had we not figured out how to build the thing for them. So with that, I do wanna just say, like, this whole thing from Ferris Bueller's, I don't know if you know the last scene of that movie where he said life moves pretty fast. I have a friend that passed away this year, and I just want to say some words, because I didn't actually get to go to his funeral, but Benny knows Bryce. This was my god brother, and his dad was my godfather, and both of them died in the last year, and he would have loved it here. He never made it. He talked about visiting. But he passed away from a heart attack unexpectedly. And like, hug your loved ones, so he goes fast. So you're just gonna see maybe like 5 seconds of silence for Bryce. All right. That's all I got, you guys. Thanks for listening. Sorry for bringing it down on that. What questions can I answer for you guys?